In a small-town courthouse on a humid September morning, a 17-year-old girl walked into a room where truth was supposed to live, and found that laughter stood in its place. They say a courtroom has its own kind of silence. It's not quiet, not really, but it hums like air before a storm. On the morning of State versus Bennett, that silence filled courtroom B. 17-year-old Maya Bennett sat at the defense table, fidgeting with the sleeves of a second-hand blazer that was clearly 2 sizes too big. Her mother sat a few rows back, shoulders hunched, fingers clasped together so tight they looked bloodless. Everyone knew Maya. Her family had lived in Hollow Creek for 3 generations. Good people. Church people. And that's what made it harder to believe that Maya, a high school honor student, had smashed the window of the town's oldest antique shop and stolen nearly $12,000 worth of collectibles. The prosecution's case was airtight. Or at least it looked that way. They had a grainy still image from a security camera showing a hooded figure near the shattered storefront at 9:18 p.m. They had a witness, a delivery driver, who claimed he saw a teen girl in dark clothes running from the scene. And they had a motive. The store owner had recently fired Maya's mother after 15 years of work. It was the perfect small-town scandal, familiar, tragic, and easy to believe. The presiding judge that day was Cornelius Hale, 72 years old, gray hair combed with precision, and a reputation for knowing the truth the moment he saw it. He didn't like teenagers in his courtroom. They reminded him of chaos, excuses, and TikTok lawyers who thought Google evidence was a legal term. The prosecutor, Karen Briggs, opened confidently. This wasn't just vandalism, Your Honor. It was revenge. A deliberate, thought-out act by a young woman angry at her mother's dismissal. The crowd murmured. You could feel the room siding with her. When it was the defense's turn, Maya's attorney, a weary public defender named Elias Rowe, stood and said quietly, "My client was not there. She was on the bus home. We can prove it." Judge Hale arched an eyebrow. He'd heard that before. Everyone had an alibi. Everyone was innocent, until proven otherwise. On the 3rd day, Maya asked to testify. Now, this almost never happens in juvenile cases. Most defense attorneys avoid it, too risky, too emotional. But Elias, who had watched her sit still for hours with that unnerving calm, nodded. Maya took the stand. Her voice was soft at first, that kind of nervous softness that makes you underestimate someone. "I was at choir rehearsal at St. Mark's until 9 o'clock. I walked to the bus stop with my friends. The bus came around 9:25. I called my mom while waiting, she always gets worried. I was home by 9:40. Prosecutor Briggs pounced. "And you expect us to take your word for that, Ms. Bennett?" Maya hesitated, then said something that changed everything. "No, ma'am. I expect you to take my GPS logs." A ripple of confusion spread across the courtroom. Even the stenographer paused mid-stroke. Judge Hale leaned back, chuckling. "I'm sorry, your what?" "My GPS logs," Maya repeated. "From my phone. And from the bus system. They'll show where I was every minute that night." The judge actually laughed out loud. It was the kind of laugh that carries judgment, not humor. The "you're a kid, sit down" kind of laugh. "Ms. Bennett," he said, half smiling, "we're not running a science experiment here. The court deals in facts, not whatever data you teenagers store on your phones." The courtroom chuckled with him. Even her own lawyer looked uneasy. But Maya didn't flinch. She met the judge's gaze with a steadiness that unsettled the room. "Then let's get the facts," she said. "Because the data is the truth." And for a moment you could feel it, the balance in the room shift. That night, something extraordinary happened. While the rest of Hollow Creek went to bed, Maya's lawyer filed a motion to subpoena the bus company's GPS records, her cell phone's location data, and the delivery truck's telematics. The judge, still amused but curious, allowed it. 24 hours, he said. "Bring me something worth all this fuss." By the next morning, the courtroom had changed. The laughter was gone. Fleet Track Co., the logistics company that managed the delivery truck, had responded overnight. Their compliance officer sent a certified GPS log from the truck's tracking device. At 9:18 p.m., the exact time the store was vandalized, the truck had been parked right in front of Alder and Birch. Engine idling. 2 minutes stationary. And the driver's keycard, registered to none other than the prosecution's star witness, Harold Pruitt, had been active. Meanwhile, the bus company's GPS showed bus 14 leaving Street Mark stop at 9:24, and Maya's phone data put her in that bus seat the entire ride home. The defense overlaid it all on a single timeline. 9:05, choir rehearsal ends. 9:17, Maya calls her mom. 9:18, Pruitt's delivery truck stops in front of Alder and Birch. 9:24, bus 14 departs downtown. 9:40, Maya's phone connects to her home Wi-Fi. When Judge Hale saw the chart, his smirk disappeared. The prosecution tried to fight back. They questioned the data, the authenticity, the technical mumbo-jumbo, as Briggs called it. But Elias had done his homework. Fleet Traco's data was time-stamped and hash-sealed, meaning it couldn't be altered without leaving a digital fingerprint. Maya's phone history came with a verified Google timeline export. And the bus company's GPS matched city transit records, minute for minute. Briggs' case began to crumble. The witness, Harold Pruitt, the same man who had seen Maya fleeing the scene, was suddenly on the defensive. Under cross-examination, Elias leaned in and asked, "Mr. Pruitt, do you recall where you were at 9:18 p.m.? Pruitt swallowed. "Driving past Alder and Birch. In your company vehicle?" "Yes." "With the engine running?" He hesitated. I don't remember." Elias smiled slightly. "Fleet Trackco does." He handed over a printed report. "According to this, your truck was parked at the scene for 2 minutes and 13 seconds. Were you making a delivery?" Pruitt's jaw tightened. He didn't answer. And in that silence, the kind that makes your skin prickle, the jury realized something. The only person proven to be at Alder and Birch at 9:18 wasn't Maya Bennett. It was the witness who accused her. 2 days later, the defense got one last surprise. The bakery across from Alder and Birch had an old security camera mounted above its sign, a forgotten relic that everyone assumed was broken. But the owner's daughter had been live-streaming a late-night baking session on her phone that night, and her stream accidentally captured 2 seconds of movement outside the antique shop. When they played the clip in court, you could hear the audience gasp. A figure in a delivery uniform, not a hoodie, moved quickly past the window. A sharp glint of something metallic. Then, the sound of shattering glass. Briggs objected furiously. "That video is grainy, inadmissible, irrelevant." But it was too late. The shape, the posture, it all matched Harold Pruitt. And when the police checked his truck, they found glass fragments embedded near the bumper. The jury didn't take long. After only 4 hours of deliberation, they returned with a unanimous verdict. Not guilty. The room erupted, Maya's mother sobbing into her hands, her lawyer shaking his head in disbelief, and Judge Hale, sitting perfectly still. When the noise settled, he looked at Maya and said quietly, "You did what even some lawyers forget to do, Miss Bennett. You asked for proof." Outside, reporters gathered, microphones flashing like lightning in the evening rain. The story spread fast. Teen clears name with GPS data, digital alibi shocks small town court, the girl who outsmarted the system. But beneath the headlines, something darker simmered. A follow-up investigation revealed that Harold Pruitt had been behind on rent, struggling with gambling debts. He targeted Alder and Birch for a quick grab, and when he saw police closing in, he pinned it on the first easy suspect, the daughter of a fired employee. He eventually confessed to the break-in. He'd never imagined a teenage girl would think to pull GPS logs. Months later, Judge Hale spoke at a legal seminar about the case. He didn't mention Maya's name, but everyone knew. It wasn't about the data, he said. It was about humility, about remembering that truth can come from anywhere, even from a phone in a teenager's hand. Maya went on to graduate top of her class. She got a scholarship to study data science and later became a digital forensics analyst, the kind who now helps defend people falsely accused through bad evidence. Her mother still keeps that old phone in a drawer, the one that once carried enough truth to break the entire case open. But here's where the story gets really strange. Months after the trial, Fleet Trackco reached out to Maya's lawyer. They'd done a system audit and found one unauthorized query made to their server at 10:42 p.m. the night before the subpoena, from a Hollow Creek Police Department IP address. Someone in law enforcement had already looked at the logs, and ignored them. Judge Hale ordered an internal investigation, but it vanished quietly under personnel confidentiality. No charges were ever filed. Still, in that small town, people remember the day the judge laughed, and how that laugh turned into a silence that changed everything. For more gripping tales from Ben's Clip Stories, please go ahead and subscribe. Your support helps us bring you more real, emotional, and powerful narratives.